So we are going to get started here. Welcome everybody and Oki to our Pincher Creek Library 2022 Winter Speaker Series. I first want to acknowledge that we gather as the Pincher Creek and District Municipal Library on the traditional land of the Piikani people, both past and present. We honor the land itself and the people who have tended to it throughout the generations so that we may work, learn, play, and grow in its beauty in the present and into the future. So welcome everybody. I'm very happy to introduce our first speaker of this series. My name is Samantha Bonwick and I'm the outreach worker here at the Pincher Creek Library, and this is one of my favorite parts of my job, getting to introduce wonderful, talented, and knowledgeable people in and around our community. So Emilie started working for the Nature Conservancy of Canada in February 2019 and is the natural area manager for the Crossness Watershed in Alberta. She studied wildlife management at the CGAP and St. Felician QC. Sorry for the bad pronunciation. Prior to working for an NCC, Emilie worked as an environmental consultant for over 12 years, participating mostly in environmental impact assessments and construction monitoring for the nature resource extraction industry. Her experience provided her with a deep understanding of wildlife, human conflicts, and ways to mitigate the impact of human development on the natural habitat. Emilie has been calling the Crossness Pat's home since 2012. She loves the outdoors, and in her spare time, she enjoys hiking, snowboarding, and rock climbing. She is also involved in her community as a director for the Crow's Nest Conservation Society. So without further ado, here's Emilie. Oh, before Emilie begins, I will let everybody know that we will have a question period after Emilie's presentation. So if you look in your bottom bar under the presentation on your screen, there is an icon called chat. Feel free to type in any of your comments or your questions in there, and I will keep track of them. And then at the end of the presentation, we will make sure that everything's answered and seen. Okay, Emilie.
Thank you. Thank you, Samantha, for the introduction. And thanks, everyone, for being here tonight to listen to me. I'm really happy to be here because the project I'm going to talk about is pretty much my main focus right now. I'm really excited about it, and I just want everybody to know about it. So here we go. I'm going to share my screen. Samantha, can you make me able to share my screen, please?
Yes, just a second. I thought I had already done that, but I will make sure here.
I gotta say, when I heard that you're also gonna have Kevin Van Tegen, I was pretty happy to be here before him. He's quite a speaker. He's a really good speaker. So yeah.
Yes, I'm very excited that we got so many awesome speakers. You all are. I'm excited for every one of them. Just a second here. I'm sorry, Emily. This
That's
is
all good.
really a lot different than our test run. It's not in the same spot. So, I'm wondering if, I'm wondering here. And you're sure you're unable to share your screen?
Yeah, it says host disabled participant screen sharing.
Oh, let me just see here. Sorry about this. I did think I had this all figured out. Let me see. Sorry, everybody. Let me see. I might have to make a phone call to IT because I do not have the option to let you share your screen.
Could it be Chinook Art that is the host instead of you? Because I think the
Yeah.
host is the only one who can do that, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
We're seeing a message on our screen that says the host is not logged in yet. So it looks like you might have logged in as a participant, Samantha, not on the host link, and that's probably why you can't allow her to share her screen.
That's really good of you to let me know that. Just a sec.
Yeah, you have a different link to log in that then lets the rest of us in. And you might be have logged in just like one of us. So that's probably why you can't share your screen. I'll go back on mute then. Sorry to interrupt. I just wanted to be helpful.
Thank you. I've never before when they've done this, I've been able to join in like a normal participant. So maybe they changed it on me. Here we go. I'm just looking through my emails. And let's see. I'm going to try this link.
In the meantime, do you want me to start with my introduction while you're trying to figure that out?
Yeah,
Sounds
maybe do that. Sorry
Okay.
about that.
That's all good. The good slides are coming later anyways, so I can start with our slides. So yeah, thank you, Samantha, for the good introduction. I don't think I need to introduce myself again. You said it all. Maybe I can just say so I'm the area manager for the Castle Crossness Watershed. And this goes from the north, just south of just north of the Crossness Pass, south to Beauvais Lake, and west from the BC border, east to about Pincher Creek. So that's the Castle Crossness watershed area that I'm managing. And I just wanted to tell you a little bit about the Nature Conservancy of Canada because there's still some misconception out there. So we are a private, non-for-profit land conservation organization. And we partner with individuals, corporations, foundations, indigenous communities, other non-for-profit, and government to protect natural habitats. We secure properties through all kinds of different ways. So we can use donations, purchase, conservation agreements, and relinquishment of legal interest in land. And then we manage these properties for the long term. since 1962. Whoa, what did I do? Sorry, since 1962, we have protected 15 million hectares in Canada. And in Alberta, we started in 1970. And since then, we have completed more than 200 projects, protecting more than 451,000 hectares, which is 1.1 million acres. And to give you an idea, that's about 9 times the size of Waterton Park. So this is our work in the Crossness Pass. But tonight, I'm here to tell you about the Linking Landscapes project. So it's called Linking Landscapes, Monitoring Wildlife Movement in the Crossness Pass. This is a partnership project between the Nature Conservancy of Canada, the Mistaki Institute, and the Alberta Biodiversity Monitoring Institute, which is quite a mouthful, so I'm going to call them ABMI from now on. So it's a partnership project to monitor wildlife movement near Highway 3 in the Crossness Pass using wildlife cameras. This project is going on for 3 years. We started in the fall of 2020, so we're going for another 2 years still. So we want to monitor the wildlife movement near the highway, so not just what's crossing the highway, but everything near the highway, and also at existing structures like bridges, culverts, and overpass. And I assume still trying to figure out the presentation. Okay, well, I'll keep going. So the area where we're working, since you guys are from Pincher Creek, it's probably not a big deal if you don't have the map right now. Hi, Samantha, I see that you're back. Okay, I'll keep going. Just wave to me when we're ready. So yeah, so you probably don't need a map. So I work in the Jim Prentice, in the Crossness Pass, but we have 2 focus areas. The first one is what we call the Jim Prentice Wildlife Corridor. This is located between Crossness Lake and Coleman. And this is our biggest focus area for that project. And the second focus area is the Rock Creek Wildlife Corridor, which is just west of Lundbreck. So just a little bit about the context of that project. So the Crossness Pass is located kind of near the northern end of the crown of the continent ecosystem, which I have a little map of that. It's pretty big, but most of it is in the US, and it goes up kind of near Banff here in Canada. But the interesting thing about the Crossness Pass and Pincher Creek area, that whole area, is that we are kind of connecting the Banff, Jasper, Kootenay, Yoho Park complex to the north, and the Castle, Waterton, Glacier parks to the south. So we have 2 very big protected areas, north and south of us, and we kind of build connecting point there. And we know that maintaining landscape connectivity is really important for the well-being of all the native wildlife species that currently thrive in our region. In 2010, the Mistaki Institute wrote a report that identified Highway 3 and adjacent land use and development as a major challenge to maintain that connectivity. So having a major highway bisecting a wildlife corridor like that has consequences both for human safety and for animals. And you guys are from Pincher Creek, so you probably drive Highway 3 once in a while, and you know there's a lot of wildlife there. Each year, it's about 150 animals that are struck by vehicles on Highway 3 between Crossness Lake and Rock Creek. So that's a lot, and that causes a lot of injuries, sometimes even loss of life, costs a lot of money, and of course, it kills wildlife as well. There exist a lot of mitigation methods that can lower the risk, both for wildlife and for people. I guess I'll just keep going. So yeah, there are many animal vehicle collision mitigation methods that exist, and we know they work. They've been used and studied for many years. We also already have research projects that studied animal vehicle collisions here in the Crossness Pass. We know there's a lot of them. So why do we need more research? So we have 2 reasons for our research project. The first one is because by improving our understanding of wildlife use and wildlife movement, near and across Highway 3 in our area, we can offer good recommendations on the best mitigation strategies. So exactly which mitigation method would be best and what would be the best location for that.
Okay. Sorry,
Oh,
Emilie. I
that's
have
okay.
IT on it. They say we should be up and running in 5 minutes. So I
Fantastic.
will let you know when I can let you on.
Thank you.
Okay.
It's good because I'm just getting close to the nice photos, so it's not too bad. So yeah, that was one of the reasons why we need more research, or why more research is useful. The other reason was really just for us at the Nature Conservancy of Canada. The Jim Prentice Wildlife Corridor is one of our big projects right now. And monitoring wildlife here is going to help us make better management decisions for maintaining the wildlife populations here. And now it would be nice to be able to show you that image. Well, we can go back to it. I'll try to explain it and we can come back to it. So now I explained to you a little bit of the context of our project. Now, how are we doing it? So what we did, we took the highway and we divided the highway in 1 kilometer circles, with the center point of each of these circles at the highway kilometer markers. And that's why it's kind of easier to visualize with the image, but that's fine. I'll show you later. So for example, in the Jim Prentice Wildlife Corridor, we're working from kilometer marker 6 to kilometer marker 12. So for each of these kilometers, you can picture a 1 kilometer circle around it. So for each of these circles, we've installed a pair of wildlife camera north of the highway and another pair just south of the highway. And they're both about 500 meters away from the road. Now for each pair, one of the camera is a targeted camera and the other one is a control. So the targeted camera is installed in the place that has the most chance of capturing animals. So we really went in the field and we figured out, okay, where are the animals moving? So we targeted game trails, fords in the rivers, things like that. Now the control are put at randomized location. And why do we need controls? Those allow us to do some statistical analysis and to follow the ABMI protocol that they use all across the province to estimate wildlife population density. Something else that we wanted to know is if wildlife is using existing structures to cross the highway. So there are already, culverts and bridges and overpass. So at each of these structures, we've installed a camera just to see what's going through. And I have a cute photo of a mink going through a culvert that I can show you later. Still nothing? All right. Well, I'm sorry that you just have to look at my face instead of nice photos of wildlife. So in our project, we have around 40 wildlife cameras. We are using 2 different models. They are professional models from Reconnecting. These are attached to trees or posts, depending on the location, and they are locked with a Python lock. And again, I will show you some photos of what this looks like. These cameras are triggered by movement. So every time they sense motion in front of them, they take a photo. They work 24 hours a day. At night, they use infrared to take photos. They use regular AA batteries, and they use SD cards that we need to go and swap periodically. So I know that some wildlife cameras now can connect directly to your phone, but that's not what we have. We use good old SD cards. So after we got all of these photos, we need to process them somehow. So we are using an online tool developed by ABMI that's called Wild Tracks. This is a very great tool. We can upload all of our photos on this website, and then you can look at each photo and tag the species that you see on it, and you can decide the sex of the animal, the age groups, are they adult or juvenile, how many animals are there in that photo. And then Wildtracks allows us to extract all kind of reports and spreadsheets that we can use later for data analysis. I really wish I could show you my slides. Okay, as you can imagine, this is all very time consuming, and it would be pretty much impossible to do it just by ourselves. So we have a group of amazing local volunteers helping us through our project. So these people go out and check on the cameras. They swap the SD cards, check the batteries, they make sure that everything functions normally. They then come back home and they upload the photos from the SD cards. Finally, they go on Wildtracks and they need to look at each photo and decide, okay, is there an animal on that photo? If so, they need to identify the species, sex, age group, etc. And finally, I wanted to mention all the landowners we are working with as well. So that's a lot of cameras, and a few of them are on NCC, so the Nature Conservancy's land, but most of them are not. So we are working with private landowners, corporate landowners, grazing leaseholders, property stewards. Some of our cameras are on Crown land, on Alberta transportation. So we needed the cooperation of all these stakeholders to be able to do our project, and the response has been phenomenal. We had very few refusals, so it is great to see the support that we got. And now we're really getting into the nice photos. This is too bad. Oh well, okay, I'll show you later. So this is kind of how the project works. Like I said, we started in the fall of 2020, so we're just starting the second year now. So that means that we can look back at year one and see how it went. And we are really, really happy with how it went. Mostly everything was great. We've had, let's look at the photo. Okay, so we pulled the numbers as of February 1st. And so far we have almost 255,000 images that have been tagged by our wonderful volunteers.
Sorry, Emilie.
Yes?
IT is really working on it really hard, so we're still, it was something that they forgot to set up, so they're trying to backtrack and set it up for us. So
I just looked and it seems like I can share now.
Oh, can you? Yay.
Let me see. Share.
Sorry about that.
No, that happens. All right, you guys see that?
Okay, yes.
Ah, that's awesome. Because we're getting to the cute photos, like I was saying.
Awesome. Okay. There we go, guys. Sorry for that, but it should be smooth sailing from now on.
Fantastic. Just gonna backtrack quickly just to show you. So here, that's what I was telling you about, these 1 kilometer circles. That's kind of what it looks like along the highway. Now you can see a little bit more. So imagine for each of these circles, there are 2 cameras north and 2 cameras south, near the edge of the circle. This is an example. The photo to the left is an example of a targeted camera. I don't know if you can tell, but it's kind of on a game trail. And the one to the right is just randomly in the forest. So it's a control camera. Here, that's a photo, a camera, sorry, that's looking at a culvert. And to the right, you see that cute little link I was telling you about. And those are just images of the cameras we're using. So you can see one that's attached to a tree and one that's attached to a post. And you can see how the Python lock works. It's just kind of a, yeah, well, you see what it is. No need to describe it. This is the Wildtracks online tool. This is kind of what it looks like when we are in there tagging these photos. Those are some of our fantastic volunteers. They are all amazing. And yes, okay, back to where I was. Fantastic. Okay, so as I was saying, almost 250,000 images tagged so far. Out of those, over 90,000 photos are images of wildlife. So the rest are, photos of either people, photos of branches waving in front of the cameras, things like that. And so far we've identified 38 species, and those are just the wild species. So I'm not talking cats, dogs, cows. So this is pretty good. Just move that here, just give me a second. No. Okay, sorry about that. All right, so yeah, we're pretty happy with year one. Our volunteers have been fantastic as well. They are all very reliable at taking care of the cameras. If you see the photo on the bottom right corner, this is a volunteer trimming some shrubs in front of the cameras that were waving in front of the cameras and triggering it all the time. So very good job at maintaining the cameras. They're also very good at identifying the species. They had to learn at the beginning. It's not always easy to tell the difference between a mule deer and a white-tailed deer. So they are getting really, really good. And surprisingly, we have had no dropout yet, which is quite rare in a long project like that. So this is great. Some numbers from our volunteers. So far, they have logged at least 55 hours of field time and more than 400 hours on wild tracks. So that gives you an idea that that would be impossible to do a project like that without volunteers. And they all have really great stories. So some of them are using the project as a bit of a learning opportunity with their kids. They take their kids out and they take their kids to help tag photos. Some of them are just early retired and they just want something to do. Some of them just moved to the Crossness Pass and wanted to be involved somehow. So they all have really cool stories. Despite the fact that the first year went really well, there were a few challenges as well, and most of them were related to the cameras themselves. So the weather is not always easy, and if you wonder why there's that photo to the left, that's because we had over 2,000 photos of that exact same image, just because these branches are waving in the wind in front of the camera and triggering it. So it's very windy around here, and that can be challenging for the false trigger of the camera. We've also had a fair bit of snow, so we had issues like that other photo where you see the lens is covered by snow. And we had a pretty long cold snap as well, and that was hard on the batteries. They died kind of quicker than we expected, so we had to replace them earlier than expected. There were also some challenges related to the fact that some of the cameras are really close to the highway. So we had ice buildup from the snowplow. We had dirty lenses. So for some reason, the camera that's really close to the highways get really, really dirty. I don't know if you can tell in the photos in the corner, but yeah, the lens get really dirty. So we need to go and clean them once a month. And unfortunately, one of our camera was stolen. You can see the photo where there's just the bracket left, and you can see the marks from an axe. So you can tell that they use an axe to cut the python lug. So that's unfortunate, but it is what it is. So that was year one. What are we gonna do next? There's still 2 years left of gathering data. So we are building a working group. This working group is gonna have many professionals in different fields like road ecology, wildlife, things like that. Also in our working group, there's the Reconnecting the Rockies project. So this is kind of our sister project from the BC side of the border, because that border really doesn't mean anything for animals. They move back and forth. So there's another project that's almost the same as ours on the BC side. They are working kind of from Osmer to the border. You can see the map there. That's the map from their project. They are using cameras like ours with the same protocol. They're using the same volunteers. We train all of our volunteers together. The main difference is that they are just a little bit ahead of us. Some of their underpass are already built, which is great. So they have cameras to monitor these underpass and see how they are used by wildlife. So that's going to be really interesting to put all of the data together from the BC side and the Alberta side. So with that working group, we're going to meet in the spring and start figuring out how we're going to do the data analysis. And then we're also going to do more public engagement. So like this webinar, we're hoping to have some open house. If we can one day meet face to face, that would be great. And want to participate in some events like the outdoor adventure show in the Crossness Pass. And finally, the best thing about having a wildlife camera project is all the cool photos we get, right? So I figured I would just have a bunch of slides with my favorite photos. So we start here with some elk. We got almost 30,000 photos of elk so far, including some really cute ones. I really like the one of the mom with her just grooming her baby. That's pretty cute. Got a lot of cougars as well. If you can see the 3 cougars walking together, they are actually 4 cougars that are walking together. We have photos of them all over the Jim Prentice Wildlife Corridor. It's probably a mom with her 3 cubs, but the 3 cubs are now just as big as mom, and it's pretty cool to see them wander all around. And fun story with cougars, one of our volunteers came face to face with a cougar while he went to check on his camera. It all went well, everybody stayed calm, nobody got hurt, but I think he got a lot of excitement that day, more than he bargained for. We got some black bear, fair amount of black bears as well, of all ages. Got 2 little cubs down there, all colors as well. Got some nice cinnamon colors, brown, black. Got some grizzly bears. They all look fat and healthy. I quite like the photo of the one dragging a carcass there. Got a few moose, not that many, but it's nice to see them. Lots of red fox, which are some of my favorite. They're just always really cute, especially the little babies in the corner up there. And we got 2 fox play fighting in front of the camera at night. So we have a whole series of these fox play fighting. It's not clear if it's a mating pair or if they are siblings, but either way, it's very cute. Got a lot of coyotes, again, not really surprising. We had at the bottom corner, you see 2 coyotes, but it's actually 3 coyotes that are hanging out together. I kind of like the one in the dark there that looks so proud of its deer leg there. Reminds me of my dog. And we got some wolves too, which I was pretty excited. It's always exciting to see a wolf, right? Not that many, but a few of them. They are there, they are around. Of course, tons of deer. I think those are all whitetail, but we got a nice mix of mule deer and whitetail deer. Actually, it's almost 48,000 photos of deer so far that we got. So lots and lots of them. Here we go. And closer to Crossness Lake, you got a fair amount of bighorn sheep as well. And we also got some species that we were not really targeting, but just happened to still take the photo. So there's that really beautiful photo of a hawk up there. Down from the left to the right, you have a badger, a beaver, a pine marten, and a great blue heron. And finally, there are always some photos that make me laugh. So I figured I would share a few that hopefully can give you a chuckle as well. If you wonder, the one in the corner, top left corner, what that is, this is a bear paw. So there's a black bear that came around and pawed at the camera. It didn't break it, but gave that funny photo. And yeah, I think now we can go to questions.
Thank you, Emilie. And I'm sorry for the rough start, but you coped with it well and you still delivered an amazing presentation. I'm very happy we got to see all the cute animals. I, for one, that's the highlight of any drive or any trip to the mountains is to see the wonderful wildlife. So it's awesome to see the moments that you get caught on the cameras. If anybody has any questions, please feel free to type them in the chat box. Here's a question already. When will you have recommendations for crossing structures and location?
So that's still a few years down the road. So we still have 2 years of data to gather. And after that, we need to do the data analysis. So I would say probably in 3 years would be a reasonable timeline.
Awesome. And then here's another one. What animals are using culverts to cross the highway and bridges?
Not that many. So most of the culverts that we have are pretty small. There's that one, the photo of the mink that you saw. This one's pretty tall. It's probably 7 or 8 feet tall, and we expected a lot of animals because it's pretty dry, but we didn't get that many. So I think we got the beaver, we got that little mink, maybe wood rat. What did we get? And what did we get? I think we got one more thing. Oh, a skunk. Yeah, we got a skunk there. So yeah, but really not as many animals as we expected. When sometimes you can use culverts as wildlife crossings for bigger animals, but obviously these culverts are way bigger than what we have now. There is a bridge though, so you probably know where the Highway 3 crosses over Crossness River. And that bridge, under that bridge, there's a lot of animals that are crossing there, especially the cougar. Cougar seems to like that crossing. So if you go hang out there at night, watch yourself.
Is that Rock Creek? Someone's asking. So I'm assuming that where the culvert is.
Yeah, no, the photo was not from Rock Creek. The photo was from the Allison Creek culvert.
Oh, cool. From the data collected so far, can you see pressure points or high concentration areas?
It's hard to tell with just 1 year of data. So I'm going to say no, not yet. We want to wait over a few years to really see a trend.
Are you seeing raccoons?
No raccoons so far. No, and I should have mentioned there's a few photos that I didn't put, but like we got one photo of a Canada lynx, but got me really excited, but the photo was really crappy. That's why I didn't share it. Took us a while to identify that animal, but we got a few rarities, lots of skunk, but no raccoons. No.
How about porcupines?
No porcupines either, which is surprising. They're around, but
yeah,
in the trees more, I think. Yeah, but no porcupines.
Interesting. It's interesting how sometimes you expect certain animals and you don't see them.
Yes. Yeah. And just speaking of that, it's interesting because there's a few areas where our control camera end up catching more animals than the targeted camera. So, you can try to find the best place, but sometimes, yeah, you're wrong and animals surprise you.
Yeah. Does the NCC have targets for additional land acquisitions?
Yes, we don't have like acre targets, but we would like to complete the Jim Prentice Wildlife Corridor. So right now, we protected the north side of the highway pretty well, but we don't have much on the south side of the highway. So we would like to protect enough land to really allow the crossing, north-south of the highway. So we are in discussions with many different landowners there. And so far, we're not looking at buying anything. We're more looking at conservation easements or partnerships, some kinds of partnerships.
Interesting. Here's some more animal species questions. Have you seen bobcats, river otters, or marmots?
Bobcat, yes. Bobcat, no. Sorry, no bobcat. There's 2 species I'm going to be really excited if we see is a bobcat and a wolverine. Yeah. That would make my day. But no, not so far. River otter, yes. We got 1 or 2 photos of them at Allison Creek, actually. And what was the last one? Sorry.
The marmots.
Marmot. We got 1 photo of a marmot. Yes, just 1.
It's amazing how many animals are actually around here when you start listing them off.
Oh yeah, for sure. When I was looking at the list of species and hit 38, I was, pretty happy. That's a lot.
Yeah, that is. Okay, so is there any last minute questions from the group? These are all awesome questions. And Emilie, you're doing an amazing job answering them all.
Thank you. Sorry, I know I can talk about it all day and all night. So
So it would be really nice, like, if we could have you in person to the library one day to discuss this further.
I'm hoping one day it's going to be possible before the end of the project.
Yeah, one day soon, hey.
Yes.
More animals. Let's see. Oh, it's going too fast here. Just a sec. Let's see. Have you seen fishers or martins?
One pine marten, which is actually no, a few pine martens, but yeah, I put back that photo there actually, but no fishers. No.
Okay. And are you still recruiting volunteers, or do you need any more volunteers?
For now, we are good. Actually, one thing I didn't mention about our volunteers is a lot of them are actually asking for more. So this is amazing. But if you'd like to volunteer, maybe I can put my email in the chat at the end, and you can send me your name. And then if we have dropouts, or if we have more cameras, or for some reason, if we need someone, then it would be nice to have a list. So yes, I will put my email address in the chat. And if you have any questions later on, if you want to talk to me about the project, as you can tell, I'm excited about it. So yeah, you can email me.
Yes, and if you have trouble copying down her email, you can always call the library, and I'd be happy to share it with anyone interested. Have you offered the program to school age students who might be able to volunteer?
Not yet, but this is the plan. So I already took a few groups. Well, I took the outdoors education group from the high school here in town to check on one of the camera and told them about the project. But I am right now working with the school district to get kids involved in the project, and we're trying to figure out what would be the best way to get them involved. So not yet, but we're hoping to.
Are you coordinating with Highway 3 development plans?
Kinda, yes. So that's the goal. Is at the end we're gonna have a report for them with recommendations. So yes, that's the ultimate goal. Really, is yeah.
I think it would be so awesome to have like that pass over the highway. That would be really cool. Really neat.
For sure. And especially if they end up twinning the highway, it's going to be a huge footprint. So we'll need wildlife crossings.
Yeah, I never thought of that. That would take away a lot more land from these animals.
Yeah,
that's for sure. There's a participant in the chats that say she loves the idea of citizen scientists. So that's a cool concept I've never heard before, of having like the students be scientists.
It is great, and we want to use more of them because there's so much we want to do, but we can't do it all. It's very expensive, and staff time is very expensive. But we realize with that project, yeah, our volunteers, our citizen scientists are amazing. They're, because it's always a bit scary. How is it going to be more trouble than it's worth? But so far, this project is showing, no, this is amazing. This is so helpful, and we want to scale it up with different projects. So yes.
It's hard to place limits on yourself, hey, when you start thinking of the big picture.
Yes.
Okay, well, if there are not any more questions, if you do have a quick question, everybody, that you want to type in quickly, you can. But I do want to thank Emilie for being here and again for being patient with our tech issues. I guess that's something you run into in the world of Zoom. And we look forward to hopefully one day soon have you maybe present in person at the library or outside of the library or somehow so that we can meet you face to face. Oh, there is another question. Does this research connect in any way to the research on antelope crossings?
Not really, because it's in a different location. Antelopes don't get all the way here. So yeah, I have some coworkers that are working east of here that are working a lot with antelope crossing, but they are not really, not this project.
Cool. Yeah, we don't get a lot of antelope around here, do we?
No, they're just to the east of us, really.
Yeah, we get the odd herd every so often that kind of wanders in our way, but that's it.
It's pretty rare, yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank you. And thank you everybody for participating and having patience and sticking with us through our tech issues. Oh, there is another question. Is there information collected on the mortality caused by the highway?
Yes, so there are a few reports, and yeah, that Mistaki did. So there's one about yeah, really the costs of vehicle-animal collisions. So they estimated the cost for each animal. So a moose cost an average, I think, $30,000, things like that. There's another report again by Mistakis that estimated the amount of animals killed in our area. So there's a few different things. So if you want more information about it, the website for the Mistaki Institute is a good place to start, or you can email me as well, and I can send you links to these reports.
That's really, really awesome. Any more questions? These have been very, very good questions.
Yes.
Oh, I love flipping through your pictures. They're so awesome.
I'm so glad we fixed, yeah, the tech issues. I really wanted to show you the photos. I mean, it's the best part of that project, right?
Well, we were determined to get it fixed for us.
Thank you very much. Yeah, and thank you everybody for your patience for sticking with us.
Yeah, like I said, thank you for sticking with us. It was a rough start, but Emilie handled it like the pro she is, and I'm glad we got it figured out. Okay, so it looks like that's all the questions. Again, I want to say thank you to Emilie, and I will for sure pass on your information if anybody wants to know anything further from you. I have your contact information, so anybody who wants it can contact the library and I will pass it on, and that way you can talk directly to Emilie, and hopefully we can meet in person one day and have a in-person presentation. And thank you again for being here, Emilie. It was awesome to hear your presentation.
Thank you very much, and thanks everyone for listening and be here with us.
Yes. Okay, I'm gonna just remind everybody that our next presentation is up next Tuesday, the same time, 6:30, and you can use the same link that you used for tonight's presentation, so make sure you save that email, and we will see everybody next time, and I hope everyone has a really good night. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.